A new Star Wars show is out with Andor, so let's talk about it. First off, let's talk about the Star Wars Disney Plus shows. We've had The Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan. And out of those three, really only Mandalorian has been really good, with Boba Fett being disappointing, and Obi-Wan not living up to its potential. And even though those three shows have different levels of quality, they all feel similar in terms of the tone and how it plays out in terms of action, and Andor feels completely different. First off, knowing that it's a Rogue One prequel set 5 years before the events of Rogue One, and the writer of this, Tony Gilroy, also worked on reshoots for Rogue One, so he's the person that's going to know the tone and the vibe of Rogue One and know how to translate that well into Andor. And it does. It feels very familiar to Rogue One in these first 3 episodes. And also what's important about a prequel is, does the character feel like how we knew him when we first met him in Rogue One? And Cassian Andor does. Obviously, he's going to change throughout the events of Andor, but the core part of the character feels the same as we know him in Rogue One, just without the events in between Andor, where we are in Andor at the end of episode 3 and the start of Rogue One when we see him. And straight from the start, you can tell that the tone's a lot different, as I said, to the rest of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, as it's a lot darker in tone, it's a lot grittier, and it feels like it's targeting a different audience to what it was previously targeting in the live action Disney Plus show so far. And you can see that through a lack of action as well that's happening throughout the show, and the fact that it's a spy thriller, so it's going to take a long time to build up to where it's leading to. And I wasn't expecting these first 3 episodes to be so interlinked with each other, to the sense where it should have all been edited as one long movie instead of 3 separate episodes. As if you watch 1 episode by itself, you won't, or just even 2 episodes by itself, you might not feel as satisfied watching all 3 of them, so you can get that arc, get the conclusion you're getting from what is laid out at the start. And as it's been said that it's going to be having 3 episode arcs and then moving on to a different part of the story, I wonder, as we start getting week to week episodes now, is it going to feel a lot slower? Is it going to feel that we're just getting part of the story? And would it be better to release it in 3 episode chunks, so we're just seeing that arc to the story, then we move on to a different arc, instead of just seeing one part of a 3 arc series? And especially when comparing it to the other Star Wars Disney Plus shows that we've got, it is a lot slower, and as I said, there isn't as much action as in the other Disney Plus shows. There's an action scene in more or less every episode, and in this one it's just the 3rd episode when we have Cassian and we also have Luthen fighting together against the officers. And even though the action scene's not long, it's really good as well, and the build up to the actions what's really been intriguing and interesting so far, as they're going deep into the characters and really trying to develop them and telling quite a complex story. And moving on into the flashbacks, and I feel like it was a really good way of showing Cassian's past, and I feel like, as I said, with the 3 episodes coming off all at once, it works better once you realise where it goes in the 3rd episode. As after the first 2 episodes, you can see why they're showing the flashback to see what the events happening, but tying it into the 3rd episode made perfect sense and was a really nice payoff as well. And moving on into the fan service, and there's been a lot of talk recently about the Star Wars shows and having a lot of fan service, and the people in charge of this show saying there's not going to be a fan service show, and a lot of different reactions. And for one, it's a positive that it isn't going to be a fan servicey show, and the story that they showed us so far doesn't lead towards that sort of show anyway, so it wouldn't make sense for there to be a lot of fan service, and even if there was, it would take away everything that they built and looks like they're going to build in the show. With other Star Wars shows, I feel like it lends itself more to that, and it doesn't really take away from the enjoyment and also the story that they're telling. And due to Andor not having any fan service, it's obviously not going to appeal to a broader audience, and it's just going to be a slower pace due to the story they're telling. And overall, I'm fine with that. The final thoughts on Andor's first 3 episodes so far is that it's really good, really enjoyable show. It takes a while, but by the end of episode 3, I was fully engaged in what they were telling me and intrigued to see where the rest of the season goes. So let me know your thoughts on the first 3 episodes so far. Are you enjoying it? Is it too far astray from what they've done so far, or is this what Star Wars needed?